Hi everyone, it's Miss Alyssa,
And Mr. Connor.
and we're so glad that you guys decided to tune in again. We have a very special week. We have Good Friday and Easter this week, so we're going to be talking about that. We hope you guys are still staying safe, you're having fun. Hopefully you guys aren't driving your parents crazy or that your parents aren't driving you crazy. But we're excited to talk about some of the exciting things that are happening this week. So today we're going to be talking about both a very sad event and a very happy event. The sad event we're going to talk about today is Jesus dying on the cross, which is also Good Friday. So first we're going to look at Matthew 27:29 through 31. So if you guys want to follow along, you can find Matthew. It's the very first book in the New Testament, or you can just listen. So here's Matthew 27:29 through 31. It says, "The people wove thorn branches into a crown and put it on Jesus' head, and then they placed a reed stick in his right hand as a scepter. Then they knelt before him in a mockery and taunted, 'Hail, King of the Jews!' Then they spit on him and grabbed the stick and struck him on the head with it. When they were finally tired of mocking him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him again. Then they led him on the way to be crucified on the cross." So this is very sad to read. Jesus, who was sent to save people, to be the King of Kings, was being mocked and made fun of. And he was being physically hurt to then be put to death on the cross. But Jesus actually forgave these people, and he asked God to forgive these people. All of these people that put him on the cross and that hurt him. That's kind of crazy to think about. Sometimes I even have a hard time forgiving a friend who's hurt me, and here's Jesus, and he's able to forgive those who put him to death. That's just crazy for me to wrap my head around. Now, when Jesus died, immediately the ground shook, and there were earthquakes and darkness. People were scared and sad that their friend Jesus had died. And even people who put him to death realized that Jesus really was the king with how the earth reacted. But people didn't have to be sad for very long, because in 3 days, something incredible happened. And here's where we get to talk about our happy event.
Okay, so we're going to read in John 20:1 through 9. So if you want to find that, you can read it along or just listen to me here. So John 20:1 through 9. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved, and said, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." So Peter and the other disciple started for the tomb. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked into the strips of linen lying there, but did not go in. Then Simon Peter came along behind him and went straight into the tomb. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. The cloth was still lying in its place, separate from the linen. Finally, the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also went inside. He saw and he believed. And so what's that incredible event we just read about? It's that Jesus rose from the grave. He came back to life, and not like some scary zombie or anything like that. Jesus defeated death just like he said that he would, and he took all of our sins so that we could live in heaven someday. Only the King of Kings could do something like that.
That's right. So these events are pretty crazy to wrap your mind around, and exactly what does that mean for us? Because that happened a long time ago, but what exactly does that mean for us as humans and as Christians? So we wanted to give you guys a pretty cool demonstration to kind of understand that better. So here we go. This shows Jesus. It shows that he's pure and he's clean, and he came to take the punishment for our sin. The sin that you and I have done or will ever do in our life. That's what Jesus came to do. Now look at you, which is right here. You look pretty good. You're clean. You're how you're meant to be. But we've all messed up and will continue to mess up. When we bring the sin into our lives, it changes us. It changes who we are and what we do. Maybe you yelled at your parents or lied to one of your friends. Sin makes us who we aren't meant to be, but God changes that. He didn't make us to be sinful, so he gave us something to rescue us, which is Jesus. Jesus was perfect and clean. So what would happen if Jesus took all the sin in the world, all the dirty, yucky things about us, and put it into himself? So he went to the cross as God instructed and took our sin. And if you wait a minute, look at that. Jesus may have taken the sin with him, but he left it in the grave so that we could have new life. He's still perfect and clean. So you, with all of your sin in you, have the choice to say yes to Jesus, because we don't need sin anymore. Our sin has been defeated by the power of the cross, by what Jesus did and the power of the resurrection. When you say yes to Jesus, when you ask him into your heart and ask for forgiveness and ask him to fill you with his power and cleanse you, it changes everything. Jesus brings freedom, and he cleanses us. He takes the dirty, yucky things, and he makes them new and whole again. Only Jesus can do that, because he died and rose again to defeat the power of sin, and that's why Jesus died on the cross. So if you guys are wanting to make that decision, if you guys are wanting to have this cleansingness and to get all rid of the yucky things and to just live a new life that you could be in heaven someday, we have a prayer for you guys that you can follow along with if you'd like. Some of you may have already Jesus in your heart, and that's great. Some of you might not, and you might want to be doing that. And some of you may have done that before, but haven't really lived up to it and might want to renew that commitment. So if you guys are wanting to do that, you can bow your heads and just repeat this prayer after me. You can do it in your head. You can do it out loud, whatever you want. Only God can hear you. So let's bow our heads. Dear Jesus, I ask you to forgive my sins. I ask you to make me whole again and to be how you've made me to be. I believe in you, Lord. I believe in your death, and I believe in your resurrection. Make me whole, make me new, and make me like you. Come into my heart so that I can be more like you and meet you in heaven someday. Amen. If you guys prayed that prayer, we would love to know. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to Mr. Connor or the church or the website or anything like that. We would love to know so that we can help you guys, give you some cool books, some resources, anything like that. So yeah, let us know if you did that. And with that, we're gonna transition to Mr. Connor to show us what kind of craft we're gonna do today.
Okay, so if you guys remember this story in the Bible that I was reading you, we talked about how the disciples saw the tomb and how it was empty. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a craft about the tomb. So if you come down here, I have all the materials. Now what we're going to need is some regular paper here, and then I have brown construction paper, but if you don't have that at home, you can just use regular paper too. But I'll show you with the brown construction paper. And then we're going to have, you need a plate and then about a bowl, any size around this should do. And then some scissors, a pen, marker, glue stick, and then I have paper fasteners here, but if you don't have those two, you can use string or anything to attach something. So what you do first is you take your paper, and we're going to do the brown paper first. You're going to want two. And first, you take your plate, you're going to put it about like this. And it'll probably cut off a little on the bottom, but you want it to be flat on the bottom, so that's okay. Then you just take your pen or pencil and just trace around it like this. So you have one that looks like this. Then you take your other piece and you take your bowl, you just put it in the middle there and do the same thing right here. So it looks like this. And you just put that there for now. And then you take your regular paper, or if you're already using regular paper, just take another piece and make another one just like this. So you'll have these, so it'll look like this. And then you're going to cut them out, which I already did, so I'll show you. So they'll look like this, this, and then on the last one, go ahead and draw in. You can draw really whatever you want to symbolize Easter, but what I drew, if you want to do it, is I drew the 3 crosses on the hills. So that's what I did, and you can follow along with that if you want to and color it in yourself. Now, what you're going to do is take this one first on the bottom, and then you can color before or after, but whenever you're ready, you take this one and you glue the back. My glue stick doesn't break. Okay. My glue stick gave me all kinds of trouble. Then you glue that down. Then you'll take this one and you're going to lay it right on top. So it should look like the tomb from the story. Now when you have them all lined up, and you can use a parent to help you hold it, I just used my pen, but you're going to want to poke a hole right in the top here so it goes through all 3 pieces. So you have a hole like this, and then you'll put your paper fastener or string or whatever you're going to use to attach them through, and then seal it like this. So you'll have this, but I'm going to show you mine that I already have all finished. So here's mine done, and I put "He is risen" on the top because Jesus is back from the grave. And then when you have your thing attached, you can take your outside piece and roll the stone away like the tomb, and you'll have your drawing inside. Because he is risen, and he is risen indeed.
So we hope you guys learn more about Easter and Good Friday and what it's about, and we hope that you take that and you just really appreciate what Easter is about and that Jesus rose and he died for us as well. I think we have an Easter bunny here today.
Yeah. Riley, come here. Come here. Wow. Look
She
what
brought
Mama
us
you brought.
gifts.
She brought us eggs. Girl.
And maybe your Easter bunny will bring you something too. So we hope you guys have a great week. Happy Easter.
Bye.